Hello, everybody, and welcome to the longer-awaited episode 13 of the Central Circle podcast, the new arm of West Midlands football. I'm your host, Alan Nichols, and joining me today, we've got Blues legend Alex Russell. How you doing, Alex?
Yeah, not too bad.
Good stuff. After an international break of our very own, which since we last went on air, has seen Wolves winless run stretched to 4, Villa stretched to 3, and Albion failing to capitalise on their big win over Brighton, also notching up 3 winless games. The big news is at St Andrews, Blues have finally given Karanka the chop. They've ushered in former midfielder Lee Bowyer. So, Alex, what's your thoughts? Is it a positive step? Have the club got the right man? How have the performances looked so far?
I'll go into Karanka first. Obviously, on this pod, I was saying he can't get his tactics right, and making the wrong subs. But I don't think I actually called for his head. I never actually said Karanka out. But then after the Bristol City game, after losing 3-0, I think I messaged the podcast and said, I'm officially Karanka out. He has to go. And then literally a few hours later, he was gone. And it wasn't announced officially until a few days later, which was strange because we all knew Lee Bowyer was coming. Lee Bowyer was taking training, but we haven't even announced that Karanka had been sacked on social media, which was a strange one. But I'm happy with the Lee Bowyer appointment. He'll bring fight. He's Blues legend, really, isn't he? On the cup with us. I don't know if he would have been my first choice. I think I went on Blues pages and social media and I seen those Blues fans like getting a bit carried away. Oh yes, he's perfect, Blues legend. And I think they were clouded by their love of Lee Bowyer, and they didn't look at him as a manager. He's done okay as a manager. He got promoted with Charlton. But I think if Blues fans didn't love Lee Bowyer as much as we do, we wouldn't have been so positive about the move to get him in. That said, we've played 2 games now under Lee Bowyer and we played so well. Obviously, we've got a tough run of games. Reading being the first one, and we beat them. And it was like the performance was absolutely brilliant. It was typical Blues, just fighting for every ball. Everyone looked interested. They were running further, just working harder. Harley Dean chucking his body in front of the ball on the bloody goal line. It was a proper 3 points, and it was much needed.
Absolutely, after yesterday's results.
Yeah, especially like you say yesterday, Watford. Going into that Watford game, I even said, and again, I'm a pessimist, I even said, I'll take a 1-0 loss as long as everyone else around us loses. But again, I know we lost 3-0. We played really well. It wasn't a 3-0 game, and we were in the game, even though I think we went 1-0 down probably in the first 3 minutes or something. And you're thinking, oh my God, here we go. But we responded really well. And we're in the game for, even though it was 2-0, and we're in the game for 80 minutes. And even at 2-0, I'm thinking, we're not out of this game. We're still in the game. We're still having chances, and we struggle to put the ball in the net, which is going to cost us this season. It's a great performance, but if we can't put the ball in the net, we're going to pay for it. On another day, we actually probably could have beat Watford, as stupid as it sounds. So going forward, the results, the performances have been so much better. And it's nice to see him make normal subs. In the Reading game, so when it was 1-1, Karanka would have took off Djukovic and put on a centre half and tried to settle for the 1-1. Whereas Lee Bowyer didn't. I can't remember his exact subs, but it was like a like for like, and he kept the 2 up top. And it was like, we're clearly going to try and win the game. And we did under Karanka. We're never winning that game. We're going to try and hang on to a 1-1 for half an hour and end up losing. So, it's more positive. It's just after the results yesterday, I'm looking at the league and it still looks pretty dire. But
I think it's
if
the
we
games
play
in
like we
hand,
have, yeah, it's those games in hand. But you know what? I was thinking about it yesterday. Rotherham aren't going to go down. And it'll be Derby. I think it'll be
You
Derby
think,
who go down. We have to play both. I think Rotherham will get out. I really do. Coventry maybe, but Derby are the ones. I think they've won like once in the last 9 games. I'm not sure if that's accurate. But we've got to play them both, so we've got to beat them. But if we play like we have the last 2 games, we're going to be fine. It's just we've got to keep that performance level.
yeah, I mean, time's running out, isn't it? I think you've got 8 games left now. I mean, one of the points that you made there, which I kind of want to touch on a little bit, and that was that Bowyer weren't quite your first choice. Is that because you didn't think Bowyer was up to the task, or you just think the timing of the appointment, that Bowyer right now, you may have potentially lent more towards a more experienced pair of hands given the current situation?
Yeah, I don't know if he was not my first choice. There was just a few. I don't think I was bothered because at that stage, anyone, honestly, I would have walked in and done a better job than Karanka. I love Bowyer, but I was trying to stay on a level as well. Everyone's getting carried away. And I seen a post from a Blues fan on the Facebook page. Oh, brilliant. This is brilliant. Get Lee Bowyer in. Get Stephen Carr, get Barry Ferguson, get them all. Why? What? Because they won a cup for us. They're going to be good managers. It's just stupid. I didn't want to get carried away just because we love him. I was trying to keep my cool and not get carried away. But after these 2 performances, he's the right appointment going forward. But I would have probably liked someone more experienced to keep us in the league, and then probably, I don't know, look for another manager. I know that's not how it works. As if you say, for example, we mentioned Kenny Jackett, get Kenny Jackett and keep us up this season. And then what do you do? Because I don't think the likes of Kenny Jackett is someone to take you forward, whereas I think Lee Bowyer is. So if we can just survive this season, and it sounds obvious, then obviously he's the right appointment, because going forward, Lee Bowyer, I think he's the right man.
I think it's a cracking appointment personally, and he's never going to turn down the job, was it? And something had to give, and I do think you've reacted at the right time as well. There would be no point you waiting another 2 or 3 weeks. You probably would have come out the last 2 games with 0 points rather than you have 3. And then you bang up against it. Then why change a manager then with so little games to go? You've acted at the right time. It was your worst performance of the season. When Bristol City come and done a number, really, didn't they? And they didn't even have to play that well to win the game, did they?
Yeah, no.
So you've definitely acted at the right time. I think you have got the right man for the job. I agree with what you're saying. You should rather be looking up than looking behind you, because Rotherham may well clock up enough points. Sheffield Wednesday, I think their bad run of, I think it was like 6 losses in a row. I think that's too much. That's too much.
They won yesterday.
I know they won.
I'm looking over my shoulder again.
One win can change everything as well, can't it? It can give a team renewed momentum. It can it can build up a head of steam. If they can go on a run of perhaps winning 3 or 4 out of 5 or 6 games, all of a sudden then. But the teams above you, like your Coventry, I think, are another team as well, which really need to start looking over their shoulder big time.
Yeah.
I pinpointed about a month ago, didn't I, that when for me it always has been, and it's Easter weekend. That is the crunch time in the Football League. It makes or breaks the entire season, and those 2 games in quick succession is ultimately going to be the defining factor for me.
Well, because obviously Rotherham have got so many games in hand, I was looking at their fixtures, and they are literally playing Wednesday, Saturday, or Tuesday, Saturday. So it's whether they can maintain. I don't know how big the squad is, but it's whether they can do that, which will play into our hands a little bit. But I just think, and I think I said it on the previous pod, that Rotherham will go and get a result from nowhere. I said we won't, but under Lee Bowyer, I think we can now. But you look at Derby, they just look. I mean, I haven't watched them, but seeing the results, they look like they could go. And I've been looking at the fixtures as well. Rotherham, and they all have to play each other. So, I mean, I don't think Derby can do what we done and sack the manager because he's their guy. I can't see him doing that and getting a new lease of life and climbing the table. But I think Derby are more catchable than when Rotherham play these games in hand. I think they will be above us. So I see us as being in the relegation zone now, and Derby are the next team that I'm looking at to catch. I want to get another team in between us and the relegation zone, and then I'll feel a bit more comfortable. But our next two games aren't really winnable. We've got the third and fourth in the league, Swansea, Brentford. I mean, I snap my hands off at probably 2 points, 2 draws. If we can get a win and lose one, then even better. But I think we probably have to win one of those games because
I think Brentford, I know it seems a bit daft, but I don't actually think it'd be that too bad at the time because they're pretty much destined for the playoffs, aren't they, Brentford?
Yeah, they are, yeah.
Will they switch off and coast? I mean, they didn't last season, did they? I know they fell apart when it finally got in their hands, but to get into that position, they went on a ridiculous run of results.
We actually beat them earlier in the season, so, I mean, there's no reason why we can't do it again.
It's 8 cup finals, and it's as simple as that. The one thing from a neutral standpoint is that the only certainty for me is that it's going to go down to the final day.
Yeah.
And there will be so many twists and turns between now and then. But ultimately, you want my gut feeling on this. I think bringing Bowyer in and getting rid of Karanka will save your skin.
You'd think so. You would think so. On the outside looking in, you'd look at it and go, "Ah, Blues are going to be safe now." But I can't say that because I'm a Blues fan. I don't know. I don't want it to go down to the last day again. I can't handle it. I cannot handle it. It keeps happening. And we say the same thing every year, every single year for like the last 7 or 8 years. Like, oh, we'll just get through this season, survive this season, and then when we survive the end of the season, it's like have a good window, and then climb, have a mid-table, and then a 3 or 5 year plan, and then it just happens again, and we're just surviving on the last day again. It's so frustrating because it's like we're destined just to go down. I mean, if you ask me now, if I think we're going to stay up or go down, I now think we're going to stay up because of the last 2 performances against 2 of the best teams in the league.
Yeah. Certainly yesterday, I think Watford they'll definitely be following Norwich up in the top 2 for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then moving on, let's switch our attentions across to another part of the Midlands, and I'll talk about Wolves for a little while. I thought Monday night, Liverpool very much was the Wolves of old. We were so unlucky in the game. I know it's easy to say, but with a goal scorer on the pitch, I think we would have beat them probably by 2 or 3 goals. I thought the difference in performance levels was that big. It's disappointing to come out of the game without any points at all. The lack of goals, it's just a problem, isn't it? And I think when you lose your best striker,
what's changed from a couple of weeks ago when you were playing bad and then to try and mean it?
Results-wise, at the end of the day, we've still only beat Leeds in the last, I think, 7 games. So we still only won 1 league game. But the performance levels has improved, and that's all I was ever calling for. That you can go out on your shield in some games, much like Monday night, much like Spurs at home over Christmas. I know that obviously we did get a 1-1 draw late in the game there, but the performance level, the fight, everything that we've been over the past 3 years under Nuno, it returned for me. And I still believe that we're a good team, and I've never doubted that. My frustrations have been born out of that, really, if anything. The fact that the performance levels haven't been there, the fight hasn't been there, and I think that's alarming to a manager when that dips away so badly from what's been there the previous 3 years. I have seen signs. The second half of Villa was outstanding. outstanding. The way that we absolutely battered them off the pitch.
Mm.
Liverpool Monday night was outstanding again. Just needed an end product on the end of it, and I really do believe that with the right recruitment this summer, it can turn around. We can get back. It wouldn't take a lot for us to get back into the top 8, top 7. You know, we've got to hold on to what we've got in the key areas, i.e. Pedro Neto, Ruben Neves, Willy Bolly, pretty much, you know, the shining lights of this season. I know Bolly's been injured for long periods, but Neto and Neves we have to hold on to. Raul Jimenez, hopefully he can come back and get back fit and be what it was for us. And in and around that, I'd chop away a little bit of dead wood in certain areas, try and build a squad, give some youth players a go. I mean, Dion Sanderson at Sunderland this season has been terrific. So I'd love to see him phased into the first team over the course of the next 12 months. I really would. I still think we need to go and buy a quality centre-back, because at the moment we're operating in there with, at times, Dendoncker, Cody and Seiss. 3 centre-mids by trade. That's only ever going to get you so far. So we do need to recruit big in that area. Left back, I think a fully fit Johnny's pretty fine. Right back, Semedo's coming on leaps and bounds week in, week out. And I think Keanu Hoover is a solid second choice right back in there. Left back, I wouldn't be taking up any options on Aitor for me. And whether the club decide to bring Vinagre back and hold on to him. Midfield, Martinho again, absolutely quality Monday night. Run the show for me. Clear man of the match. And this is what you'll get out of him if he's managed correctly. He can't play 40 games a season at his age. He just can't do it. If he's managed correctly and been playing, you know, pick and choose the games he plays, rotating correctly, playing once a week, 25 games a season, that is what you'll get from Joe Martinho. He's at that
Who else
level.
have you got you can put in there that's good enough, or would you sign?
This is the area of recruitment I'm talking about. Yeah, Neves is young, he's fresh. You will get 40 to 50 games a season out of him. But again, you've got to be able to backfill him as and when. So a centre mid for me is crucial. A box-to-box player as well. I know people will point to Dendoncker being the player that's supposed to be the box-to-box, but for me, I don't think he's good enough. I just don't think he's good enough. I wouldn't mind the club holding on to him as a squad player, but in terms of first team, I don't think he should be being mentioned on a regular basis. And then moving further up the pitch, obviously we do have our first choice front three, but we need someone pushing them more. We really do. I mean, Foden seems to be injury prone. Jimenez has been out for a long time, so we don't know how he's going to be when he comes back. So we need someone that can come in there and really push those guys up there. So build through the spine of the team again. Hopefully next season with fans back in there. And I'm optimistic again. And I think that we can get back to the Wolves that we've seen over the past 3 years.
What do you think would be a good season for you next season?
It's easy. It's a massive cop out, but it does very much depend on the recruitment for me. It does. I'd like. Position's never been something that I'd point to and say it's a successful season if you finish in the top 7 or the top 8. But then if we come 9th, but we've had a great cup run and we've played out of our skin throughout the season, is that then a bad season? It's just for me to be competing in and around the top 7, be competing in games, and like I say, to have a good, decent cup run as well. But above all else, it's always about the performance levels for me. And that's what I've seen over the past 3-4 games that's really give me renewed optimism moving into next year.
Okay.
I mean, what did you think of Monday night? Did you just think we was an end product short of really putting them to the sword?
I didn't watch the game. To be fair.
I mean, they just looked like a completely broken team. I mean, Jurgen Klopp after the game described it as, a dirty 3 points.
Yeah.
He couldn't have put it any better.
They should give up, hadn't they? Like you said, they should give up on the league. I
think they have, yeah, and it's a point that we can perhaps touch on now, moving on to our next subject, and that's the Champions League draw and the way that it's kind of opened up. You just want to run us quickly through the draw?
Yeah, it's Man City, Dortmund, Porto, Chelsea, Bayern Munich, PSG, and Real Madrid, Liverpool. And I think Liverpool can beat Real Madrid, which, I mean, a few podcasts ago, I was saying, no, they're not going to win the Champions League. I still don't think they will, but I mean, they've come this far, and I do think that they'll beat Real Madrid. And literally 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think most of us agreed that they're more likely to get top 4 than win the Champions League. Well, that's not the case now, is it?
Not the way the draw's opened up. I think if you look at that top half of the draw, the fact that the projected route then would be to play the winner of Chelsea or Porto, to be avoiding Man City and Bayern Munich until the final, it's an absolute bonus for any of those top 4 teams. And I know that you know, they're all previous winners of the competition, and you know, especially Real Madrid, the biggest club in the world, they wouldn't be looking at other clubs and thinking we should be fearing them. But let's be honest about this. Bayern Munich and Man City are streets ahead of any other team in this competition. Yeah. And I think that PSG are probably the only credible challengers, but they're going to get beat now anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. It goes to City or Munich, doesn't it, really? But a final's a final. Anything can happen. And can you write Chelsea off?
I don't think so. No, I absolutely don't think so. I think the way they beat Atletico Madrid, who were top of La Liga, they've been a thorn in English club sides for years. I mean, look at the job they did on Liverpool last season.
They don't win that game under Frank Lampard, do they?
I mean, form suggests not, doesn't it? Tuchel's gone in there. He really has galvanised them, hasn't he? He's got good players playing. I said, at a stretch, didn't I? I mean, I said that I thought Chelsea might come second in the league. So really, you know what I mean? And I turned a few heads with that one, but I think at the time they were 6th, but I could just see this run coming. They've got everything under their feet. They're a good team, and he's a proper manager for me as well. And I think that'll be City's greatest challengers next season.
Yeah, that's a shout, that is. To be honest, yeah, that's a good shout. I kind of agree with you, to be honest. Liverpool aren't going to bounce back, are they?
It looks like they're going to lose Wijnaldum, doesn't it? And he's a key player to them. I mean, Henderson constantly being injured. Van Dijk, you don't know when he's going to be back. So yeah, they need to recruit heavy in the summer if they can.
I think United will fall away again next season. I feel like they're just having a random good season from nowhere, really. I don't really understand where it's come from. So I think they'll drop away next season.
I think he's limited, isn't he, Ollie? I think, Man United fans, or there'll be a lot of angry Man United fans who might hear that and think, everyone jumps on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's back because he's not this big mega name and all that. But
he's not.
Ultimately, he's not, is he? He's not.
And he's not.
And that's the problem.
He's not a good manager, really, is he?
Well, he failed at Cardiff, for crying out loud.
Exactly.
But, I'm looking at the Champions League, or my predictions are going to be that I think Chelsea will beat Porto. I think Liverpool will beat Real Madrid. I think Manchester City will beat Dortmund. I think Bayern will beat PSG. And taking us through to the semi-finals, I called it the other day. I think it'll be a Liverpool-Bayern final. I do think Bayern will win it. But I think that the way the draw's opened up now, Liverpool have got to be in the league now. They've just got to be in it.
Mm.
They've got to, for me, I think the way that Liverpool are playing, I think West Ham are I think they're still 3-1 up. I've not checked the score.
No, it was 3-2 last time I checked.
I'm looking and I'm thinking that they've got to win every game for me, Liverpool, to get in there now. And I just think it's unrealistic juggling that Champions League campaign.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
I mean, they've got 9 games left, 27 points takes them to 73. You think with West Ham are currently going up to 51. Okay, winning every game might be a bit of a stretch, but
they won't do it.
They've got to win 7.
The top 4 settled for me.
Chelsea, Leicester, United, City.
Yeah, I think you said Leicester will drop out. Do you still think they will?
I thought it would be at the expense of Liverpool, didn't I? I don't think that'll be the case now. I think Leicester will probably fizzle into 4th.
I mean, they're only a point behind United.
United 3rd.
Yeah.
they just keep churning out results, don't they? But their frailties are there right now. I think when they got beat by Arsenal the other week, pretty much shows that that's where Leicester are at. They're not consistent enough to really push the top levels, but they'll be consistent enough to get into the top four this season at the expense of Liverpool and Spurs really dropping off this year. I know Spurs come seventh last season, but Liverpool have really dropped off this year. No one would have expected them to come outside the top four. So
yeah,
Leicester should get in there off the back of that. Champions League, anyway, you haven't given me your prediction.
same as yours.
Yeah, Liverpool Bayern final. Liverpool.
No, I think this round my predictions are the same as yours. The teams will win, but I mean, let me look.
It'll be Chelsea, Liverpool, Bayern, City then.
Chelsea, Liverpool. I think Chelsea beat Liverpool. I'd love a Chelsea City final.
El Clasico.
That's all I'm going to go for.
Wow, yeah. You think City can beat Bayern? Well, that's a stupid thing to say. I mean, City can beat Bayern. City are an amazing team, but I just think Bayern are a notch above for
me. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just City this season, though. I just think City are so good. I think City will win it.
It's the pedigree, though, for me. I just look through that team. I think you need that experience deep into competitions, for me. And Bayern have been and done it last year, and the incredible amount of finals that they've made over the years. Obviously, they've won it at Wembley, didn't they? The year before, they obviously got beat by Chelsea on penalties. They made it against Inter. I think they had 3 finals in 4 years at that point as well. They're just made for this competition, Bayern. They've won it 6 times, and I think sometimes that can wear down on players. PSG couldn't quite get over the line. They've never won it in their history. These things do get to players, and I just think that when they come up against real prestige, Bayern will have the extra edge for me. 2 legs favours City. I will say that much. Not in comparison. I think they would prefer to play Bayern over 2 legs than they would 1 leg.
Yeah, that's fair. I just think with City, the league's wrapped up. They just concentrate on whether in
same with Bayern, though, isn't it?
League
I
Cup
think
final.
you can look and you can think, I know it's not necessarily wrapped up. It's a bit
City have never won it, and while all the English teams are just shit this year, I know Chelsea are there and Liverpool, but they're shit. I just think they're going to want to win it so bad, and I think this is the year that they will. I think City will win it.
It's quite funny, isn't it? I mean, I gave this a bit of thought the other day. A lot of it was Chelsea chased it for years and years and years, didn't they? Their best teams, the 04, 05, 05, 06 teams, even winning it when they won it under Ancelotti. And those seasons, they didn't win the European Cup. It took probably one of the worst teams that actually, throughout that 10-year period, to actually go and win it. So probably on their most unexpected year was the year they actually went and won it. And if you look at City now, you'd look back a couple of years and think, they've been in the Champions League and they've achieved 100 points in the league, or, they've achieved 98 points. Those 2 teams, arguably, you could say were better than the team that they've got now. This team really is the next cycle that's going to take them through the next 2 or 3 seasons. So it's still in its infancy.
Yeah.
It would probably shock them more than anything else. We've gone and done it now when not necessarily when we least expected it, like it would have been for Chelsea, but they perhaps would have expected more so 2 years ago or 3 years ago to have competed later on into the competition than what they would do now.
I think, like you said, there is kind of this new wave of City, but that could play into their favour, because when you're young, you don't fear anything, do you? Look at Phil Foden. Phil Foden ain't going to be bothered about the Bayern Munich have won it however many times, and I think that could play in their favour.
Potentially. It's just a massive ask to beat Bayern Munich, I think. But, good luck to them. And if they go into the quadruple, then wow. It will be some feat. Other news breaking this week was the announcement of the England squad. I'm just going to pull the England squad up here. I think Goalkeepers, Dean Henderson, Sam Johnston, Nick Pope. Pretty much what we were expecting, really.
Yeah.
Obviously, Pickford being injured. Defence caused a bit of a stir, hasn't it, throughout Twitter and group chats, etc. We've got Chilwell, Cody, Dyer, James, Maguire, Mings, Shaw, Stones, Trippier, Kyle Walker. I think a lot of people were perhaps expecting Ezri Konsa to get a call up.
Yeah. Over Connor Cody.
Perhaps Cody, but probably more so Eric Dyer, I think.
Dyer. Yeah.
I think Eric Dyer might have been the one that people are sort of pointing to, but I think it's a lot of people have said it now. Southgate does stick with what he's gone with in recent times. He doesn't chop and change massively, but I think it's a bit harsh on the lad. I think he's been really good this season. I myself was really surprised that Connor Cody got called up. He hasn't been playing bad, but he hasn't been playing as good as Konsa.
Yeah. Like Konsa, well, all the Villa fans say Konsa's better than Mings, and Mings is in there. So I don't know why. I don't know why Konsa isn't. It'd be funny if he replaced Mings. That'd be a bit awkward, wouldn't it? Which I think he should, because I'm not a fan of Tyrone Mings. I think he's an idiot.
I think he's good. I do think he's good, but he's error prone, and even the Villa fans will admit that. And he's got big errors in him, like an error that will cost you a game.
He stands at the back with the ball and drizzles around and spends too long on the ball. And it's like, get rid of the ball, pass the ball, and he's just fumbling the ball over his feet. And somehow he always gets away with it. It'll bounce to another England player or whatever, but his time will come. I think Mings, he won't, and probably Cody. I suppose it depends on the rest of the season and next season for Cody, but
3-3.
Huh?
3-3.
Is he? Oh my god. Yeah, Tyrone Mings, get Konsa in there. I trust what Villa fans are saying, and he's better than Mings, and Mings is in there, so get him in. I'm happy Jude Bellingham's in there.
Yeah, I was just about to say, let's move on to the midfield. We've got Jude Bellingham, Phil Foden, Jesse Lingard, Mason Mount, Calvin Phillips, Declan Rice, and Ward Prowse. Jude Bellingham.
I was calling it when he was playing for us, his first season for us last year, and he was one of our best players, and he just turned 16 at the start of the season. And I was saying to everyone at work, all the Villa fans at work, Jude Bellingham will go to the Euros, and obviously no one's heard of him at this stage, and I want to tell everyone, we've got this kid called Jude Bellingham, he's incredible, everyone's like laughing at me, and now it looks like I think he will go to the Euros, because it is what England need. I try and keep tabs on his Dortmund career. He plays most games. They seem to love him. He does everything. He's so mature for his age. It's frightening.
I mean, I think it might be a bit of a stretch for me to say that he might make the squad. He's going to have to take a monumental few games for him to come in now and solidify his place down. I mean, you look at some of the players that aren't in this squad, Grealish and Jordan Henderson being two that will be coming back into the squad. Who's going to really be giving way there?
I think there's a discussion there to be had about Grealish.
Not being in England.
I think in one of the pods we should discuss in future, get 4 of us on, and we'll all write down an England team, because I think there's a discussion to be had now.
You think with Grealish, it's not necessarily his quality, because he's an outstanding player. You just think that there's so many options that can cover that. That what Bellingham offers is something different to what everyone else offers.
Yeah, and it's the same with Grealish. Grealish offers something different, and well, exactly like what you just said. And Jude Bellingham, there isn't a player like Bellingham where he can do everything. You're either an attacking mid or a defensive mid, and Bellingham can do everything. Like, there's no other player that can do what Grealish can do, which is why I mean, that's a case for having him in the England squad. But if he didn't bring that something extra, if we were just looking at performances, he probably wouldn't be in there. And that sounds crazy because he's been one of the best. He's been one of the best players this season. But I mean, who are you going to leave out? Like I say, we'll discuss it another day. I think we'll discuss it another day.
Yeah, I think so. I think every time this debate comes up, we're still 2.5 months away from probably a final squad announcement. Well, 2.5 months. It's about just the end of May, isn't it?
I think what I will say is when one last thing on Grealish, I think if Grealish comes back and it's just average, it's not going to be good enough. He needs to come back and carry on doing, because he's been injured. Everyone else has been performing, like he's been forgotten about a bit. And if he doesn't come on the scene again like he has, he's going to get forgotten about. And I think he needs to do that in order to get in the England squad for the Euros.
I think Villa's season's gone a bit stale, hasn't it? So obviously I know he's been out injured, but you'd always look to a club's performances and think, is he dragging them on like he was last season and the start of this season, and that's sort of fizzled away, hasn't it, a little bit? So maybe that's had a bit of an impact. Obviously, I know that the injury's there this time, but would he have been in the squad anyway? Who knows? Up front, we've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Harry Kane, Marcus Rashford, Saka, Sterling, and Ollie Watkins finally getting a nod.
Yeah, do you think he deserves it? Over someone like Patrick Bamford, for example?
It's a good question. It is.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
To say, does he deserve it over them? That's a good question. Who would I rather? Ollie Watkins over Bamford. Yeah, Ollie Watkins over Bamford. But Bamford can consider himself massively unlucky. He's had a great season.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Bamford's a better finisher.
Big up Ollie Watkins. I tracked him last season and said that we should be going balls out to get him. Villa, when we got him, I was absolutely gutted. For more reason than one, because one, I wanted him, and two, he's gone to a direct rival. And I knew he was going to go there and be a success this season, but I think everybody with a footballing brain knew that was going to happen. I think even himself has probably been so shocked that he's got an England call up this season. Player, I think, following his mould is very much his Ivan Toney. I think he'll get a move into the Premier League in the summer, and I think you can expect to see him perhaps have a similar impact as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But, I just don't like. I think I'm glad it's 3 games, because over the years it's been a habit of these players have got call ups and they've had 20 minutes. At least with 3 games, he's likely to start a game. So let's give him a proper go and give him his chance. But I think for the first game, I'd expect the usual suspects to start.
Yeah. Get the first one over the line, then you can start. I mean, I don't think it matters who you play. It doesn't matter. They're all, they're in the England squad for a reason. I mean, you could put the worst England team out of that lot in, and we'd still.
I don't get the Ward-Prowse
in the world.
I might be missing something, but I just don't get the Ward-Prowse thing. I don't get it.
He scores free kicks, doesn't he? Now I do like Ward-Prowse, but I'd have Bellingham over him.
Absolutely.
Not because I think Bellingham's a better player, which probably is. I don't know. There's a debate there to be had, but Bellingham offers you more. Ward-Prowse, just I don't know. I don't really know what he does other than score free kicks. Bellingham is good at everything. I'm so biased towards Jude Bellingham, but I just know how good he is, and he's going to be there in the next 10 years anyway, and he's going to cement his place at some point. So why not be now?
Well, I think with him and Phil Foden, we've got two players that they're going to be world class, aren't they? They're going to be world class in 2 years' time.
Well, Phil Foden's already world class.
Oh, That's a massive statement. That is.
He's world class.
That's a massive statement. I
I
mean,
couldn't.
world class. It depends how you define world class. One of the things I've always said is to be truly world class. I think you've got to be in the top 2 or 3 in your position in the world.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Otherwise, the term will just get thrown around far too much. Phil Foden is absolute quality, but I wouldn't put him in a world class bracket just yet.
Would you not? Oh, I would. I would. I reckon we ask the other two when they're on.
Ask me if I think he will be 100%. Is he yet?
Yeah.
Not quite. Not quite. See, I'd say Kevin De Bruyne's world class. Is Ilkay Gundogan world class?
This season, yeah.
This season,
Yeah.
yeah, but again, but this is the caliber of
My
player we're talking
criteria is
about.
different to yours. I have more people in my world class bracket than you do.
Yeah,
so that's probably why I would call him world class.
potentially, but what a player, and what a player Jude Bellingham is as well. And let's hope that Gareth gets it right. He picks the right squad this summer. Hopefully, we've got every player available to us, and hopefully, football can come home.
It should do.
It would be absolutely brilliant if we could get crowds back in there. I mean, we've looked at the Olympics, haven't we? This week, and it looks as though it's going to be all no international travel, so it's going to be solely a Japanese crowd. But it looks like they're going to get crowds in there. By the time the Euros comes round, we might be a fairly vaccinated country. I don't think international travel is going to be on the cards. But hopefully each individual country can fill out the stadiums for the fixtures as much as possible, and we can get crowds back in there, because there'd be nothing more than a big major tournament like this suffering to COVID and there being no fans in. So
we don't want to win it without crowds, do we?
Well, that's the thing, and I think hopefully that with the big games later in the tournament being at Wembley, the semis and the final, we could be part of it, and we can have a pretty much all England crowd in there, and that can push us over the line.
Yeah.
But I think we'll do our predictions and our squad breakdown close to the time. So I think we'll draw a line under it for now. Phil Foden, he's already world class. There's my headline.
He is. I don't think that's controversial. I think you saying Phil Foden isn't world class is more controversial.
Not just yet for me, not just yet, but yeah, he's quality, isn't he? I mean, that Liverpool game this season, he absolutely tore him a new arsehole, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, then. Right, great chatting to you. We'll probably be back later on this week, discussing a little bit more football. But for now, that concludes episode 13 of the Centre Circle podcast. And as always, if you've liked, please subscribe.